a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Jean Seberg. Jean Dorothy Seberg was an American actress who lived half her life in France. She appeared in 34 films in Hollywood and in Europe, including Saint Joan, Bonjour Tristesse, Breathless, Lilith, The Mouse That Roared, Moment to Moment, A Fine Madness, Paint Your Wagon, Airport, Macho Callahan, and Gang War in Naples. She was also one of the best-known targets of the FBI COINTELPRO project. Her targeting was a well-documented retaliation for her support of the Black Panther Party in the 1960s. Seberg died at the age of 40 in Paris, with police ruling her death a probable suicide. Early life. Jean Dorothy Seberg was born in Marshalltown, Iowa, the daughter of Dorothy Arline, a substitute teacher, and Edward R. Aldemar Seberg, a pharmacist. Her family was Lutheran and of Swedish, English, and German ancestry. Her paternal grandfather, Edward Carlson, arrived in the U.S. in 1882 and observed, "There are too many Carlsons in the New World." He decided to change the family's last name to Seberg in memory of the water and mountains of Sweden. Jean had a sister Marianne, a brother Kurt, and a brother David, who was killed in a car accident at the age of 18. In Marshalltown, Seberg babysat Mary Suppinger, some 8 years her junior, who would later become a stage and film actress known as Mary Beth Hurt. After high school, Seberg enrolled at the University of Iowa to study dramatic arts, but took up movie-making instead. Otto Preminger. Seberg made her film debut in 1957 in the title role of Saint Joan, from the George Bernard Shaw play, after being chosen from 18,000 hopefuls by director Otto Preminger in a $150,000 talent search. Her name was entered by a neighbor. When she was cast, on October 21, 1956, her only acting experience had been a single season of summer stock performances. The film was associated with a great deal of publicity, about which Seberg commented that she was embarrassed by all the attention. Despite a big build-up, called in the press a Pygmalion experiment, both the film and Seberg received poor notices. On the failure, she later told the press, "I have two memories of Saint Joan. The first was being burned at the stake in the picture. The second was being burned at the stake by the critics. The latter hurt more. I was scared like a rabbit and it showed on the screen. It was not a good experience at all. I started where most actresses end up." Preminger, though, promised her a second chance, and he cast Seberg in his next film Bonjour Tristesse the following year, which was filmed in France. Regarding his decision, Preminger told the press, "It's quite true that, if I had chosen Audrey Hepburn instead of Jean Seberg, it would have been less of a risk. But I prefer to take the risk. I have faith in her. Sure, she still has things to learn about acting, but so did Kim Novak when she started." Seberg again received atrocious reviews and the film nearly ended her career. She renegotiated her contract with Otto Preminger, and signed a long-term contract with Columbia Pictures. Preminger had an option to use her services on another film, but they never worked together again. Her next role was for Columbia, in the successful 1959 comedy The Mouse That Roared, starring Peter Sellers. Breathless and French career. During the filming of Bonjour Tristesse, Seberg met François Morel, the man who was to be her first husband, and she then based herself in France, achieving success as the free love heroine of French New Wave films. Most notably, she appeared in 1960 as Patricia in Jean-Luc Godard's Breathless, in which she co-starred with Jean-Paul Belmondo. The film became an international success and critics praised Seberg's performance, François Truffaut even hailing her the best actress in Europe. Despite her achievements in this genre, Seberg did not identify with her characters or the film plots, saying that she was making films in France about people she's not really interested in. Back in the US, she made another film for Columbia, Let No Man Write My Epitaph. In France she appeared in Time Out for Love. Then Seberg took on the lead role in her then-husband François Morel's directorial debut, La Recreation. By that time, Seberg had been estranged from Morel, and she recollected that production was pure hell, and that he would scream at her She followed it with 5-Day Lover and Congo Vivo. In the French style was a French-American film with Stanley Baker released through Columbia. Les Plus Belles Escroqueries du Monde was an anthology movie, and Backfire reunited her with Jean-Paul Belmondo. In the United States, she starred opposite Warren Beatty and Lilith for Columbia, which prompted the critics to acknowledge Seberg as a serious actress. She returned to France to make Diamonds Are Brittle. Return to Hollywood. In the late 1960s, she based herself increasingly in Hollywood. Moment to Moment, shot in France and Los Angeles, was her first movie for a Hollywood studio in a number of years. She returned to France to make Line of Demarcation, then was back in Hollywood for A Fine Madness. After making Pendulum, she appeared in her first and only musical film, Paint Your Wagon, based on Lerner and Loew's stage musical, and co-starring Lee Marvin and Clint Eastwood. Her singing voice was dubbed by Anita Gordon. Seberg also starred in the disaster film Airport. Later career. Seberg was François Truffaut's first choice for the central role of Julie and Day for Night, but, after several fruitless attempts to contact her, he gave up and cast British actress Jacqueline Bisset instead. Her last US film appearance was in the TV movie Mousie. Seberg remained active during the 1970s in European films. She appeared in Bianchi Cavalli d'Agosto, Le Grand Délire, and Die Wildant. At the time of her death she was working on the French film La Légende saute sur Courvoisier. She had scenes filmed in French Guiana and returned to Paris for additional work in September. After her death, the scenes were reshot with actress Mimsy Farmer. FBI COINTELPRO investigation. During the late 1960s, Seberg provided financial support to various groups supporting civil rights, such as the NAACP, as well as Native American school groups such as the Meskwaki Bucks at the Tama settlement near her hometown of Marshalltown, for whom she purchased $500 worth of basketball uniforms. The FBI was upset about several gifts to the Black Panther Party, totaling $10,500 in contributions. These were noted among a list of other celebrities in FBI internal documents later declassified and released to the public under FOIA requests. The financial support and alleged interracial love affairs or friendships are thought to have been triggers to an FBI investigation. The FBI operation against Seberg used COINTELPRO program techniques to harass, intimidate, defame, and discredit Seberg. The FBI's stated goal was an unspecified neutralization of Seberg with a subsidiary objective to cause her embarrassment and serve to cheapen her image with the public, while taking the usual precautions to avoid identification of the Bureau. FBI strategy and modalities can be found in FBI inter-office memos. In 1970, the FBI created the false story from a San Francisco-based informant that the child Seberg was carrying was not fathered by her husband Roman Gary, but by Raymond Hewitt, a member of the Black Panther Party. The story was reported by gossip columnist Joyce Harbour of the Los Angeles Times, and was also printed by Newsweek magazine. Seberg went into premature labor and, on August 23, 1970, gave birth to a 4-pound baby girl. The child died 2 days later. She held a funeral in her hometown with an open casket that allowed reporters to see the infant's white skin, which disproved the rumors. Seberg and Gary later sued Newsweek for libel and defamation, asking for $200,000 in damages. She contended she became so upset after reading the story that she went into premature labor, which resulted in the death of her daughter. A Paris court ordered Newsweek to pay the couple $10,800 in damages and ordered Newsweek to print the judgment in their publication, plus 8 other newspapers. The investigation of Seberg went far beyond the publishing of defamatory articles. According to her friends interviewed after her death, she reportedly experienced years of aggressive in-person surveillance, as well as break-ins and other intimidation-oriented activity. These newspaper reports make clear that Seberg was well aware of the surveillance. FBI files show that she was wiretapped, and in 1980, the Los Angeles Times published logs of her Swiss wiretapped phone calls. U.S. surveillance was deployed while she was residing in France, and while traveling in Switzerland and Italy. Per FBI files, the FBI cross-contacted the FBI Legat in U.S. embassies in Paris and Rome, and provided files on Seberg to the CIA, U.S. Secret Service and U.S. military intelligence to assist monitoring while she was abroad. FBI records show that J. Edgar Hoover kept U.S. President Richard Nixon informed of FBI activities related to the Jean Seberg case through President Nixon's Domestic Affairs Chief John Ehrlichman. John Mitchell, then Attorney General, and Deputy Attorney General Richard Kleindienst were also kept informed of FBI activities related to Seberg. Personal life. On September 5, 1958, aged 20, Seberg married François Morroil, a French lawyer in her native Marshalltown after having met in France 15 months earlier. They divorced in 1960. Morroil had ambitions in movies, and directed his estranged wife in La Recreation. According to Seberg, the marriage was a violent one, and she complained that she got married for all the wrong reasons. On living in France for a period of time, Seberg said in an interview, "I'm enjoying it to the fullest extent. I've been tremendously lucky to have gone through this experience at an age where I can still learn. That doesn't mean that I will stay here. I'm in Paris because my work has been here. I'm not an expatriate. I will go where the work is." The French life has its drawbacks. One of them is the formality. The system seems to be based on saving the maximum of yourself for those nearest you. Perhaps that is better than the other extreme in Hollywood, where people give so much of themselves in public life that they have nothing left over for their families. Still, it is hard for an American to get used to. Often I will get excited over a lunch in table only to have the hostess say discreetly that coffee will be served in the other room. I miss that casualness and friendliness of Americans, the kind that makes people smile. I also miss blue jeans, milkshakes, thick steaks, and supermarkets. Despite extended stays in the United States, she remained Paris-based for the rest of her life. In 1962, she married French aviator, resistant, novelist and diplomat Romain Gary, who was 24 years her senior and had been married to Leslie Blanche. Gary's divorce took place on September 5, 1962, and he married Seberg on October 6. The marriage in Corsica was secret and used accommodations with the law. Their sole child together, Alexandre Diego Gary, was born in Barcelona on July 24, 1962. The child's birth and first years of life were hidden from even close friends and relatives. Thanks to his contacts in the diplomat services, Gary later established Diego's birth at the French village of Charquemont on October 26, 1963, after his parents' marriage. During her marriage to Gary, Seberg lived in Paris, Greece, southern France, and Mallorca. Diego married and as of 2009 resides in Spain, where he runs a bookstore and oversees his father's literary and real estate holdings. While filming Macho Callahan in Mexico in 1969-70, Seberg became romantically involved with a student revolutionary named Carlos Ornelas Navarra. She gave birth to Navarra's daughter, Nina Hart Gary, on August 23, 1970. The baby died 2 days later, on August 25, 1970, and is buried at Riverside Cemetery in Marshalltown. Estranged husband Romain Gary had publicly claimed to have been the father during Seberg's pregnancy, but she acknowledged that Navarra was actually the father. In 1972, she was married for the third time, to aspiring film director Dennis Berry. In 1979, while separated from her legally wed husband, Seberg went through a form of marriage to an Algerian, Ahmed Hasni. Hasni persuaded her to sell her second apartment on the Rue du Bac, and he kept the proceeds, announcing that he would use the money to open a Barcelona restaurant. The couple departed for Spain, but she was soon back in Paris alone and went into hiding from Hasni, who she said had grievously abused her. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?